no to the aggression in the Middle East. So we're going to rally here for a bit, and we're going to march to Trump Tower, and then we're going to go down to 42nd Street, well, to Times Square, where there is a military recruitment center. At the same time, we're going to intersect with other veterans who are protesting this insanity that Trump has been ratcheting up since he took power, this war on the world, fire and fury, you know, dropping the mother of all bombs and things like that. So it'll be a very good, it'll be a spirited rally. Refusefascism.org. You guys are welcome to join. Yeah, grab a sign, meet some people. This whole movement, it's a movement that, you know, has launched to drive out the Trump and Pence regime in the name of humanity.
Let's lift it up and push it in all the way.
It's falling apart.
Hello. Hey! Hey y'all, why don't you gather around over here in the sun? Let's make a little noise. We are out here, refusefascism.org, because today is Veterans Day, and we're being told that we all have to rally around the flag and support the troops and the crimes and the wars that are being threatened by Donald Trump against the people of the world, and we are here to say no. Not in our name. American lives are not more important than other people's lives.
Thank you, thank you.
American lives are not more important than other people's lives.
This crap over here.
That's right. This crap over here, Donald Trump. He's right about that.
My country.
And they like to use the veterans and get everybody to say, oh, you can't criticize Trump, or you can't criticize the war because there's veterans. Pardon me?
Can't criticize anything, can we? Can't criticize the flag, can't criticize the president.
All right, we get a lot of good comments coming from the crowd already. I want to welcome everybody for coming out here. We are refusefascism.org. We are here to say...
We're just going to put this up on you.
Yeah, come on, bring the banner. Come on, bring the banner. Stand up, very good. Stand up, climb up, stand up. There we go, climb up. There we go. Hold it up, hold it up.
Hi.
Alright, so we are here because we're saying this nightmare must end, the Trump-Pence regime must go. So I want you to say that with me, or after me. Repeat after me. This nightmare must end.
This nightmare must end.
This nightmare must end.
This nightmare must end.
Trump-Pence must go.
Trump-Pence must go.
Trump-Pence must go.
Trump-Pence must go.
It is a fascist regime, and they are demonizing Muslims. They are stripping away the rights and protections of our immigrant sisters and brothers. They are detaining and deporting immigrants across this country, including targeting sanctuary cities. We say Trump-Pence must go because this is a regime that is built on and celebrates sexual assault and the violent degradation of women. Right now you have that Christian fascist fundamentalist theocrat Roy Moore, who Republicans down in Alabama are rallying to and defending and saying even if it's true that he sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl, they're saying that woman should be brought up on charges. This is what's being said by the Republican fascist party right now. A lot of people are really excited. They say, oh, the Democrats won some elections last Tuesday. And they're all happy. And look, I'm as happy as anybody that that racist bigot in Virginia got defeated. That's important.
They gotta go.
But let's be clear. Nancy Pelosi came out and said that impeachment is off the table. She said, no, I'm not going to move forward with impeachment. She made clear, and Chuck Schumer made clear, they're not going to impeach. They are telling you that you have to endure 4 more years of this assault on women, 4 more years of deportations and terror against our immigrant sisters and brothers, 4 more years of unjust wars and the threat of nuclear annihilation, against the people of North Korea. 4 more years is too long. They are imposing a nightmare through the force of the state. We are here to say no to fire and fury against North Korea. We are here to say no to a nuclear annihilation, not in our names.
We have been out here every day since last Saturday, November 4th, when this movement officially began to drive out the Trump-Pence regime. And we do this, and we are here today because we cannot wait. We cannot wait until 2018 or 2020. We can't wait until the first bomb is dropped to act. Because military experts have estimated that there's a 20 to 50% chance of a new war in the near future. And 300,000 people could die on the first day of a non-nuclear war. On the first day of a nuclear war, 1 million people could die. That's just the first 24 hours. And we can't wait to see if that will happen or not. Because Donald Trump asked 3 times in one CIA briefing, if we have nuclear weapons, why can't we use them? Well, because it's the mass incineration of humans. Because the people of North Korea are human beings who do not deserve to die in fire and fury.
And look, it is very important that Refuse Fascism call people into the streets today. It is important because the world faces a nightmare of the Trump-Pence regime. This nightmare must end, the Trump-Pence regime must go. And as part of doing that, and part of why we must do that, is the very real threat of war that the world faces. That's why it's important that Refuse Fascism raise the slogans for today: no fire and fury on North Korea, no war on Iran, and no U.S. aggression in the Middle East, to which I would add, and anywhere else either. Because we woke up a few weeks ago to find out that U.S. troops had been killed in fighting in Niger in Africa. The U.S. has troops all over the world. I'm going to talk about this a little bit. But look, there's a very real threat of war. Travis and Eva told you about experts who are talking about a 20 to 50% chance of war breaking out in the months to come. This is real. It is very real that the U.S. is threatening war on North Korea. They have warships, warplanes surrounding North Korea. And Donald Trump has threatened to destroy North Korea, to inflict fire and fury on that country, the likes of which the world has never seen. This is a country of 25 million people. Trump backed out of the nuclear deal with Iran, undermining that situation and raising the threat of war on that country. He's backing Saudi Arabia in a war in Yemen that has millions of people facing death and mass starvation. This is a big part of the threat that the Trump-Pence regime brings down on the world. And look, they tell us, hey, well, don't worry about it. Trump has got some advisors who can keep him in check. They even call them the adults in the room, the generals who can keep him from going to war. Well, who are these adults in the room? Let's see, there's General Mad Dog Mattis, who earned that nickname in the flattening of Fallujah in Iraq, where he dropped the chemical weapons, white phosphorus, on the people of Iraq. White phosphorus is a chemical weapon that when it lands on people's skin, it burns all the way down to the bone. This is what that adult in the room has a track record of doing. Who's another one? General Kelly, his chief of staff. The general who backed Trump up in calling out and degrading a widow of the black soldier, one of the black soldiers who was killed in Niger a few weeks ago, who spoke more recently about his fondness for the Confederate General Robert E. Lee, and who said the Civil War was a misunderstanding. This is one of the adults in the room. It's bullshit to talk about these people are going to keep the threat of war back, because they're down with Trump in this. What's going to stop the threat of war is us and people like us. People who recognize this threat for what it is. And we have to go out and wake others up to this threat and get them to join us in acting to stop it. That's what's going to stop this threat of war. Now look, I've been dealing with this question, like Eva said, for decades. I'm even going to let you know about how many decades. Because look, back in the 1960s, I got drafted into the U.S. Army. I got given orders to go to Vietnam. I had to confront what is the role that the U.S. and its military plays in the world, in that war, and also all around the world. I ended up refusing to go to Vietnam because I found out that that was a genocidal war. A war where U.S. GIs were supposed to treat every Vietnamese person as the enemy, man, woman, and child. I couldn't be a part of a war like that. That was the right thing to do today, and it is still the right thing to do. Because I found out in Vietnam that some of these U.S. GIs were out there inflicting mass murder at a long distance on people. They were carrying out orders in free fire zones to kill everything that moved. I also found out that massacres like the My Lai massacre, where GIs lined up 400 people and shot them to death, wasn't an odd occurrence, but standing operating procedure. And see, things like this are still a part of the way the U.S. war machine operates. I had to go further than that. I went further than that, and I saw that these wars and all the other horrors that come down on people in this country and around the world were built into the way the imperialist system functions. And I became a revolutionary communist. I took up a totally different approach to this. Not America first, but the whole world comes first. And American lives are not more important than other people's lives. This is a stance that Bob Avakian, the leader of the Revolutionary Communist Party, has fought for and underscored. And it's important that people take this up, begin to understand it, and act on that basis. And coming from that, I've been opposing U.S. aggression all over the world for decades ever since. And look, here's something else that I learned. One of the things that they try to do is they try to manipulate people into supporting their wars for empire by saying, well, you got to support the people who are risking their lives to defend you, who are serving you in the military all around the world. Look, I know, I found this out by bitter experience. These GIs are not serving us. They're not serving the people of this country. They're serving the imperialists in their imperialist wars.
Yeah.
That's something that I learned from Vietnam, and I've kept that lesson ever since, and I've worked to spread it among other people. We can't buy this because that's a way for them to create public opinion for their wars. Now look, I also know something else. There are some veterans and some GIs that all of us should agree to support. Those GIs who refuse to fight in their imperialist wars. They deserve our support. Those military people and veterans who refuse to carry out war crimes. And those GIs and veterans who, while having been part of that war, came out of it, came back to this country, figured out they were on the wrong side, and began to tell that truth to people. The way that Vietnam veterans against the war did. The way that Iraq veterans against the war did. We need more veterans like that, and we need to support veterans like that when they come out and take those kinds of stands. Because this is important. This is an important way of building up an understanding that people shouldn't get behind the wars that this country wages. And look, in taking on this threat of war, which is a very real threat, it is important to put it in the context of the whole program that the Trump-Pence regime is bringing down. Because the threats of fire and fury on North Korea are as much a part of the fascist program of this Trump-Pence regime as the Muslim travel bans, as the unleashing and calling forth of white supremacists, of taking newly won rights away from lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people, of the attacks on women, and the ramped up deportation of immigrants. All of this comes together in an overall fascist program that they're working to hammer into place, and we have to be really fighting against the threat of war, because that could provide them the opening to hammer that program into place. We got to stand up. We got to fight to drive this regime out before they can do that, before it's too late. That's all of that is why it's very important that we're out here today in New York and in cities across the country. And it's important that people get with this movement to drive the Trump-Pence regime from power. That they join us in going to the streets day after day and night after night. That you organize others to come out next Saturday, November 18th, and be part of bringing the noise to bring this Trump-Pence fascist regime down before it's too late. Thank you, sisters and brothers.
Yeah!
Can we get some more love for Carl Dix?
Yeah!
All right, he said, and I want to repeat this, he said he refused to fight in Vietnam. And I want you to know, that was not just an option that you were given then, okay? Okay, you're drafted. Do you want to go fight or do you not want to go fight? He refused to fight in Vietnam, and they showed him, and they told him in no uncertain terms that they were going to put him in jail. And then they did. And people right now, they say, oh, if I stand up against the white supremacists, maybe something will happen to me. Oh, if I stand up against this nuclear assault on North Korea, what happens to my career? What happens to my future? Oh, I got to get my grades done. Finals are coming up. If I protest, what happens? But Carl Dix, and I just want to underscore this, he looked at the lives of the people in Vietnam, and he said their lives are as valuable as our own, and I will not be part of that. And when they said, you got to do it, or else you have to pay, he said no price is too high for that. And he went to prison. He went to prison for 2 years. 1 year in solitary confinement. Wow. A year in solitary. That is a form of torture. And he came, and I'll tell you this, because I know Carl Dix, and he's a hero to me. And he should be a hero to all of you, too. And at a certain point, the warden came to him every day and said, do you have anything to say? He came and visited you. And said, do you have anything to say? The clear implication being if you would repent and repudiate your stand, they would let you out of solitary. And he refused every single day. And I'm saying this because this is a beautiful person, and he's a hero, but I'm also saying this because there's never been a struggle to stop a monstrous atrocity and injustice without people putting themselves on the line, without sacrifice. Now, we don't take that lightly. People, we don't want to have unnecessary sacrifice. We don't want unnecessary losses. But the real truth is that the horrible sacrifice and loss and the pain and destruction, if we do not put ourselves on a line to wake others up and to move heaven and earth to drive this regime from power, is bigger than any price we could pay in this struggle. Okay, I just want to say that this is very real. We're talking about millions of lives in North Korea, millions of lives in Iran, millions of lives of LGBTQ people in this country, of Muslims, of immigrants, of black people, of women. And we have to not only get out here and chant, we have to mean it. We have to follow through, even if they come at us and say you'll pay a price. And when you pay that price, and you do it with courage, and you do it without backing down, you inspire more people to stand up. And that's what we need right now. So I want to just uphold that part. I want to fill in that part of Carl's story, because it's very important, along with everything else he said. We need more people, and frankly, they want us all to be out here thanking the vets for their service when they go out and they act as cogs in a death machine, in a destructive death machine. We have to be thanking Carl Dix for his service in Leavenworth Military Prison, and thanking the service of those who stand up and refuse this.
Yeah! 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 Make some noise! Come on, yeah!
At the beginning, I gave this little quiz, right, about what's the only country in the world that has ever used nuclear weapons, and people got it correctly, the United States. But when did they use those two weapons? They used them in World War II. Where? Toward the very, very end of World War II, the U.S. dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing, both on the days they dropped these bombs, but in the years to come, from cancer and other diseases. Over 100,000, a couple 100,000 people died. People permanently scarred, injured for the rest of their lives. And here's something to note about that dropping of those atomic bombs. I read this book recently by Bill O'Reilly. Yes, Bill O'Reilly. I read a book he wrote. It was about how the U.S. vanquished Japan in World War II. And he deals with the dropping of these atomic bombs. And he documents something very interesting and telling. He documents how some of the officers, colonels and generals in the U.S. military, were against the dropping of the bombs. And one of these colonels, who was given the order to take it to the Pacific, to give the order, the verbal order to go ahead and drop these atomic bombs, insisted that he be given these orders in writing. Why was that? Because he said he thought it was a war crime, and he didn't want to be prosecuted after the war for carrying out a war crime. They knew what they were doing when they dropped those atomic bombs on hundreds of thousands of civilians. They say, oh, it saved American lives. First of all, American lives are not more important than other people's lives. But they said it shortened the war. No, Japan was getting ready to surrender. They had no more capability of fighting. That's not why they dropped those bombs. They dropped those atomic bombs to send a message to the world. And in particular, the people of China, who were fighting a revolutionary war to liberate their countries. They wanted to send a message to the then revolutionary Soviet Union that they'd better look out. This is what the U.S. had in their arsenal. And because of that, they were willing to massacre, and yes, it was a massacre, hundreds of thousands of people. And I wanted to bring that up. And right now, when Trump is talking about they have to stop this aggression from North Korea, stop them from attacking the United States, you got to ask the question, why in the world would North Korea want to attack the United States with nuclear weapons when they know there'd be total destruction with atomic weapons and other weapons against the people of North Korea? The country would be wiped out. This is bullshit. This is an excuse.
Hi, everyone. I'm here from New Jersey, and I'm co-chair of the Hiroshima Nagasaki Remembrance Committee, which was founded at least 40 years ago by a woman named Sylvia Zisman, who's now in her late 90s. She's in an assisted living facility in Brooklyn, but she has hope. Okay, I'll try to speak a little louder. I'm also chair of Union County Peace Council in New Jersey, which is part of New Jersey Peace Action, which next weekend will be celebrating their 60th anniversary. And one of the main issues that we've been working on is nuclear weapons and the scourge that they pose to the world. I always say there are three ways that nuclear weapons kill. I mean, one, they kill outright. They're deadly, horrible weapons of mass destruction, as they're called, but I mean, not even like minimizes what they would do. I mean, there's also the secondary effects of the uranium, and of course, the nuclear industry was an outgrowth of bomb making. It was like the peaceful use of atoms. So they were trying to paint a smiley face basically on the nuclear industry, which is just a death industry. And this stuff is toxic for, I mean, it's many millenniums of years. It's a half-life of 4.5 billion years, but basically for hundreds of thousands of years, this stuff is toxic and deadly. And nuclear plants are one of the main things they do is produce nuclear waste. That's this deadly stuff that we don't know what to do with, and it's not safe to put anywhere. It's deadly. There's no safe level of radiation. We need to stop creating these death technologies, and we need to work for a peaceful world. We need to work to build a future, a sustainable future, and we need peace technologies, peace thinking. We need peace consciousness, because it's just like there was such a military thinking that is the psychology of war, and and what we're doing, and it's very male-centric. I mean, it's just like these male-centric weapons. I mean, Helen Caldicott talks about it, how these weapons are very, they're phallic weapons, and we need to think of more nurturing ways to live. No more war.
No more war.
Peace now.
Peace now.
Peace for all.
Peace for all.
A 20 to 50% chance that there will be war, which could quickly develop into a nuclear war, which could quickly develop into World War III. I mean, you have U.S. Senator talking about how Trump is taking us down the road to World War III. That should be a warning. And no one in the Congress, no one in the government, not a single damn Democrat in the House or the Senate is standing up to this and calling out these moves toward war, calling out this genocide in the making against the people of North Korea.
Another ballistic missile.
Another ballistic missile.
Trump says
they
will attack.
They will attack.
Where the hell?
Where the hell?
Does the United States?
Does the United States
get off?
Get off.
Telling anybody. They cannot test.
They cannot test.
Ballistic missiles.
Ballistic missiles.
When the United States.
When the United States
has hundreds. If not thousands.
If not thousands.
Of ballistic missiles.
Ballistic missiles.
Who is threatening?
Who is threatening?
Who is threatening?
Who is threatening?
World War III.
World War III.
It is Donald Trump.
It is Donald Trump.
What will it mean
What will it mean
to the people of the world
to the people of the world
if Donald Trump
if Donald Trump
presses the nuclear button
presses the nuclear button
3 times?
3 times?
Donald Trump asked
Donald Trump asked,
if we have nuclear weapons,
if we have nuclear weapons,
why can't we use them?
why can't we use them?
Donald Trump
Donald Trump
is more dangerous
is more dangerous
than Adolf Hitler.
than Adolf Hitler.
Adolf Hitler
Adolf Hitler
could only dream
could only dream
of nuclear weapons.
of nuclear weapons.
Adolf Hitler
Adolf Hitler
could only dream
could only dream
of incinerating the world.
of incinerating the world.
But Donald Trump
But Donald Trump
is threatening just that.
is threatening just that.
We say no.
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 No fire or fury
No fire or fury
against North Korea or Iran.
against North Korea or Iran.
No U.S. aggression in the Middle East.
No U.S. aggression in the Middle East.
Now I have one thing I want to say
One thing I want to say
to esos pendejos
to esos pendejos
with back there chanting "Build the Wall."
back there chanting "Build the Wall."
Their support for Trump.
Their support for Trump.
If you want to know
If you want to know
what kind of people
what kind of people
supported the Nazis and Adolf Hitler,
supported the Nazis and Adolf
if you
Hitler,
want to know
if you want to
what
know
kind of people
what kind of people
got so excited
were so excited
when Germany
when Germany
invaded Poland,
invaded Poland,
if you want to know
if you want to know
what kind of people
what kind of people
supported the roundup of the Jews,
supported the roundup of the Jews,
look at these people.
look at these people.
Look at these people.
Look at these people.
They're supporting Trump.
They're supporting Trump.
And Pence.
And Pence.
And all the rest.
And all the rest.
To repeat in this country
Repeat in this country
what Hitler and the Nazis
what Hitler and the Nazis
did in Germany.
did in Germany.
But far worse.
But far worse.
Because Trump and Pence
Because Trump and Pence
have nuclear weapons.
have nuclear weapons.
We've got news for them.
We've got news for them.
There are tens of millions of people
There are tens of millions of people
all over this country
all over this country
and billions in the world
and billions in the world
who hate the Trump-Pence regime,
who hate the Trump-Pence regime,
who want to throw up
who want to throw up
when they see Trump on the news,
when they see Trump on the news,
who want to throw their shoes
who want to throw their shoes
at that television
at the television
when that pendejo
that pendejo
comes on TV
comes on TV
to brag
to brag
about pussy grabbing,
about pussy grabbing,
to brag
to brag
about the U.S.
about the U.S.
as the strongest military in the world,
as the strongest military in the
and
world.
they are ready to use it.
They are ready to use it.
Those are the tens of millions
Those are the tens of millions
in this country
in this country
that we are calling forward
that we are calling forward
to do what?
to do what?
To stand up,
Stand
to
up,
fill the streets
to fill the streets,
day after day,
day after day,
night after night,
night after night,
not stopping
not stopping
until this regime
until this regime
of Trump and Pence
of Trump and Pence
is driven out.